Yes. Jackson, do you want it or not?
Badly.
Do you really?
Yeah. Tuesday, baby.
All right, fair enough. Well, then let's do it. Welcome in, friends, to Balloon Party. Driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura and Munganess Burkhardt Alton Toyota. Timothy Michael McKernan, Jackson Patrick Burkett.
Bennett.
That's right. Had to be Bennett, of course. Anyway, John Denton's with us.
He is.
Were you surprised by that newsletter from John Denton yesterday?
Surprised that they put it like they vocalized it, I would say. And of course, referring to President Bill DeWitt III saying that they probably won't be spending any more money or nothing that will increase payroll. So I would say I'm not surprised by the action. I am surprised by communicating it to the fans.
Yeah, John Denton has this newsletter that you can sign up for on MLB.com. And I saw it on the Twitter tweets yesterday. I was on my burner and scrolling through, and I was really just laying into people for being cowards.
Right. Ellipses left and right.
My God, yeah. And I start off my tweets like, yeah.
Yeah. Tough look.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
You saw my...
I know the playbook.
You know my burner.
Timmy Baseball, 1, 2, 3.
It's like 9 numbers. And, of course, a dog avatar. But this is what John Denton, who will join us at 10:30, had to say. This will likely go over in St. Louis about as well as warm Budweiser toasted ravioli out of the microwave or Kansas City barbecue. But here goes. Cardinal President Bill DeWitt III told MLB.com recently that because of various financial uncertainties, the club is not likely to make any more moves this offseason that would significantly increase payroll. Barring a trade where the Cardinals send out roughly the same amount of money that they are taking back, the club's roster is close to being set for when pitchers and catchers report to spring training on February 12th. Yes, the Cardinals acted aggressively early in the free agency by signing Sonny Gray, Kyle Gibson, and Lance Lynn, and they later bolstered the bullpen with the additions of Andrew Kittredge, Ryan Fernandez, Riley O'Brien, and Nick Robertson. Still, with potential aces such as Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery on the free agent market, Cardinal fans have been hopeful that one more move might be in the works. Bill DeWitt III says that is not likely to happen. Quote, look, I think we're always open to improving our club within reason, but, we've already made some big moves. With payroll, it has to be thought of in the context of the whole business with all the investments we're making in other aspects of the product on the field. And then there's the revenue picture, which frankly is a bit challenging this year relative to last year when you think about what's happening with local television media, etc. So we are making a pretty big push by raising payroll and having revenues somewhat challenged. It's actually quite a commitment. Now, is there a little more payroll room there? It depends on the deal. That is Bill DeWitt III. You can read more. John Denton in his newsletter, and he will join us as a guest on this program at 10:30. Jackson, your reaction?
And maybe my reaction to this as somewhat surprised. If you have told me this in late November, it would have been very surprised. And again, I think I might be putting in too much stock into the backloading of Sonny Gray's deal. I just thought that was like a clear sign that, hey, we're trying to do something else. We're trying to add more by backloading his deal.
Yeah, you bought out of the bet I made.
Yeah, which now, as we could see, would have come straight to fruition. So tough for me, but you can only make the decisions based on the knowledge you have at the time. Either way, I would have been very shocked at the end of November to hear this as we sit here in early January with pitchers and catchers reporting in less than a month.
Well, Snell and Montgomery are still out. I mean, the Cy Young winner is still out there.
Yeah, that is pretty wild to think about. Getting Snell would have shocked me if we're talking about other moves they could have made. Getting Snell would have shocked you. Montgomery wouldn't have, and I think that would actually be a prudent move. However, I don't know how much he's commanding. I don't know what the market is for him out there. I'm not against the Cardinals saying this is the roster we're going to have, because when you look at teams like the Dodgers, you look at a team like the Braves, you can't compete with them money-wise. All you can do is put your best club out there, and I don't think there is another move that significantly makes them better without necessarily hamstringing them for the future.
So my analysis is I actually like it, as I've said ad nauseum for those who listen on a regular basis to the show, and my reasoning being I think the Cardinals are in a transition spot in which, good chance they win the division. Mm-hmm. going to be tough to win a playoff series. You know where I am on Major League Baseball's postseason if you listen to the program on a regular basis. But the Cardinals' approach is get in and see what happens, and maybe it can happen. I think it would be tough with this pitching staff unless somebody who isn't in the mix right now is part of it and then is a 1-2 punch with Sonny Gray in the postseason, i.e. take your pick of Nola Wheeler, I suppose, what the Cardinals fell victim to in 2022. So with that all established, I like that they're not on the hook long-term for deals. But again, I'm viewing this through the business side, from the baseball side. I just kind of like 2024, whatever. I just don't have high expectations for it. And that was before the Dodgers did what they did. So with that said, I know I'm on an island. I can't imagine too many people share my opinion. Not to say that I'm right and everybody else is wrong. I just recognize that I'm on an island. But if you look at the fan base, if you look at listeners of 101 ESPN, I would imagine the vast majority, if they are giving the Cardinals a grade for the offseason to date, would be C or worse. Would you agree with that? I mean, we've seen Jim Bowden give a C. We saw CBS Sports give it a C. So, I mean, that's national.
Right. I could see people going lower.
Yeah.
I could see people going lower. I'd be shocked if they were like A+, but C, I bet, would be the consensus.
Yeah, I think it'd be actually worse. I think that from the average from Cardinal fans would be worse. So that's something that the organization is dealing with and will continue to deal with, and that is why this newsletter from John Denton yesterday got the reaction it did. And once I saw the reaction that it got, I texted John and asked him to come on the show, and so he will join us. Running parallel to that, I think John Mozeliak's replacement might be in the organization now, and it's not Michael Gersh. It's Chaim Bloom, who was the Red Sox guy for 4 years, 5 years? Well, he's with the Red Sox after the Rays. And what his legacy is after getting terminated is improving the developmental system of the Red Sox. But his legacy at the major league level wasn't really one of great success. They went to the LCS in 2021, but no real deep runs beyond that in his tenure. But if the Cardinals are going, okay, we've got to improve developmentally, this guy's done it, and John Mozeliak's time is short, I believe that this could be the guy now that he's inside the organization. Your thoughts on that, Jackson Burkett?
Yeah, I think they've kind of done a job in this offseason. And it's kind of a question I had in the Little Pills half and half, but it's perfect to address now. Is like they've kind of addressed, I mean, the front office needs some bolstering in terms of development for players, and then the dugout needed help in terms of coaching, advisor roles. And so they've kind of, between Chaim Bloom and Yadier Molina, like that could be your manager GM combo coming up here in the next couple years if things go south with the Cardinals this year or next year. I like the move. I like bringing more outside eyes into it, and a guy who's had proven success in one of the biggest clubs in baseball. I think it's a good move. I think it's a prudent move at the time.
Your thoughts are welcome. 314-399-9646. We'll talk it over with John Denton coming up at approximately 10:30. On the other side of the break, the final AP and coaches polls are out now that Michigan is your national champion. Where did Missouri finish? Where are they projected in the too early for the upcoming season poll that came out from ESPN this morning? We will have that for you. That is coming up next. John Denton at 10:30. This is Balloon Party, driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura and Munganess Burkhardt Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. Welcome back to McKernan Jackson Burkett with you on Balloon Party. It is driven by Munganess Burkhardt Alton Toyota and Munganess St. Louis Acura. And Jackson has a Little Piddles half and half. And we have John Denton coming up in the next segment, as he sent out in his newsletter yesterday. The Cardinals will not be adding to their payroll. So any hopes for Snell or Montgomery, Bill DeWitt III, put those to bed in an interview with John Denton. Jackson, last night you were on the over. You were not handsomely rewarded. We were making the observation on this program that the number went up to 6. Mm-hmm. And even though it went against a lot of my personal logic, I thought, oh boy, I guess that means Michigan's going to win this comfortably. Now, they didn't pull away until the fourth quarter, but they did dominate in the trenches, similar to what they did against Alabama. Yeah. And even though the score against Alabama didn't reflect it, the play did, and the play last night did reflect it, as they were able to run the ball. And Michigan got a helmet on Michael Penix seemingly any time he was dropping back, and then the times that they didn't, Penix missed some open receivers that really could have changed the trajectory of that game. You lost cash. I didn't bet it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, in terms of Washington's offense, it was so evident that the Michigan D-line was bullying up front. And when you have a guy like Penix who's dealt with so many injuries and isn't necessarily a mobile quarterback, I mean, he can move, but he's not what I would consider like Jaden Daniels type of quarterback who can fly out of the pocket. You're going to get a little gun shy when you're getting hit every single time. And I think that's what led to some of the miscommunications with receivers.
It's interesting.
I mean, he had Aduza wide open, down 17-3. It would have made 17-10 in the second quarter. I mean, he was wide open. He just missed it. He missed
a fourth down play.
Yeah, and he missed
4th and 7.
He missed a couple of throws. I just think it just seemed like he was gun shy, just based on they were always in his lap. And then for Michigan, the way they dominated in the run game early was crazy. I mean, was it Donovan Edwards? Yeah, the way he was
a non-factor most of the year.
Yeah, but 2 touchdown runs like crazy. Right. Credit to Washington, though. They got right with the run defense more towards the second and third and fourth quarters. But Michigan, man, they played a pretty flawless game in terms of big mistakes. Like, they didn't make turnovers. They had very few penalties. Like, their first penalty was late in the second quarter. They did a really good job of limiting penalties, limiting turnovers, and they capitalized in the trenches. And that's what you got to do if you're going to win a national championship. You got to win the battle up front, and they did so in a major way.
Michigan's national championship is their first since 1997. They split that one with Nebraska, but you got to go back to the Truman administration for them to have one of their own. The AP and coaches poll coming out this morning. The final one, Michigan 1, Washington 2. Number 3, Texas. Number 4, Georgia. Yeah. And then, what do you think? Well, you just made a little head gesture there. What does that mean, boy?
So this is the AP poll, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind then. Because I thought the case was if you were made it to the college football playoff, you couldn't be worse than 4. But that's for CFP.
At AAP.
Yeah, got it. Okay, I think Georgia might be like the second best team in the country.
Would have loved to have seen Georgia against Michigan.
Would have been awesome. Even though Washington was a very formidable opponent, but Georgia was just
The thing about Washington, and this isn't a shot, because I think they didn't play their best game last night, which I suppose is a shot. What I'm saying is I think they're better than they played last night as a team. Sometimes teams have off games, and sometimes teams play out of their minds. I think you'll see more of a wide delta on that in college basketball, in particular if a team just gets ridiculously hot from 3.
Yep.
The Georgia-Alabama game is an example of a one-off. And people say, you can talk about Alabama, but I mean, then you talk about Georgia. Well, fine. Well, Alabama lost to Texas. Texas lost to Oklahoma. Oklahoma lost to UCF. And UCF lost to, like, everybody, including Texas Tech, who lost to Wyoming. So you can't do the transitive property in college football. College football is a political debater's gold mine because you can argue for or against anything anytime you want. And usually you expose your biases. Missouri winds up finishing number 8. Speaking of biases, there's mine. They're tied, at number 6. Oregon and Florida State wound up being tied, the exact same number of votes. That means Missouri right behind them at number 8. Here is where I come down on it. I think this year, strangely, I feel like any of the teams in the top 8 could have beaten each other. Yeah. I include Missouri in that and say it's because I went to Missouri or I love Missouri, whatever. It's fine. I don't really care. It's my assessment. Oftentimes Missouri fans think I'm too hard on Missouri. This is what I think. This is what I say. I don't think Ole Miss was in that class this year. They may be next year. Ole Miss finishing number 9. Yet, you have an undefeated national champion who went through an undefeated number 2 Washington, went through Alabama, which was a one-loss team at the time and had beaten the team that was considered to be the best, and also beat Ohio State. So, yes, there was Iowa in the middle, but that's not Michigan's fault.
Right.
And either way, they took care of them, even though they didn't play a great game in that one. It's kind of understandable coming off the Ohio State game, and I understand them not really fearing the Iowa offense. But they beat Ohio State, which I think may have been one of the best teams in the country, not necessarily the team we saw in the Cotton Bowl, but all healthy and all opting in, yes. And then they beat Alabama and dominated in the trenches.
Big time.
The team that challenged them the most, as weird as it may sound, because you go, well, it had to be Alabama because they went to overtime, I think was Ohio State. That game in Ann Arbor and putting up those points, that's the game that I thought challenged them the most.
Michigan scoring so easily in overtime against Bama, I thought underscored how much they dominated up front in that game.
Alabama having the troubles they did with snapping and protection for Milroe. So the ability to run the football, I just don't know if Michigan 5 years from now will be looked at like the 2019 LSU team was. I think the 2019 LSU team is one of the greatest college football teams I've ever seen.
They had star power out of the ass. I mean, you got Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
But you also have the cheating that is attached to Michigan. You may like it, you may not like it, however you view it, it's still there for them. I don't think we'll see Jim Harbaugh back with Michigan. What is your opinion?
No, I do. I think he is destined for the NFL. I think that was the case well before they won the national championship. I think he's been eyes on. I think he's tried to get back to the NFL now for some time.
He lost out on jobs with Minnesota and Denver, but interviewed there. But now he's won a national championship for his alma mater. He has 17 players from this championship team leaving, and there are 2 investigations. I have no idea why he would return.
The time to get out is right now.
This is it. And he's going to be able to call his shot with the Chargers, the Commanders, perhaps others as well. Jim Harbaugh can go and do what Pete Carroll has done, right? Am I the only?
Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll to leave a college and then go win a Super Bowl. I think that would be he'd be certainly the only one in recent memory.
And he has rebuilt with both Stanford and with the San Francisco 49ers and then Michigan. Keep in mind that he has done all of these rebuilds. Perfect to me, it's the Chargers. Strikes me as obvious that it is the Chargers. He's got a quarterback there, played for the Chargers. Not that that really matters in the NFL, but that is where I would think, if I had to bet, that that's where he is coaching next year.
Has a history with California as well, whether it be college or when he coached the Niners. I think that's the much more attractive job when you look at Justin Herbert versus Sam Howell, and not to mention the nonsense that goes on with the Washington football organization. I'd much rather. I mean, the Chargers aren't
different now. Josh Harrison there, but but either way,
the Chargers aren't a great franchise either. They're in the tough spot with their situation going on at the stadium. But what are you going to do?
So Jim Harbaugh wins the national championship. Missouri is also projected number 8 on ESPN's way too early top 24 rankings.
Yeah, and then I looked at
top 25 for 2024.
And then I looked at the Athletics, and they have them at 17. Like, there's a wide.
You want to fight, and you already have posted on Tiger Board today, calling out the.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you're doing power rankings, way too early rankings, we call that engagement farming. Because how the hell would you know the spring transfer portal?
Is this the peak era of tell the audience what engagement farming means? I mean, it's kind of obvious to me. I call it like bait, but I suppose that's not necessarily what it is.
No,
because like bait's when you just want a bunch of likes and you don't necessarily say anything of substance, or it's kind of Jay Leno monologue humor.
Right.
But engagement farming, Jackson, tell me what engagement farming. Maybe I'll do some engagement farming today.
Yeah, it's posting something with the intent of a lot of argument going on in the comments section, a lot of quote tweets going on, a lot of shares saying, what's your take on this, asinine statement I don't really believe in? Why do you think I'm wrong? ? That's engagement farming, because that gets people to your account, seeing your tweet.
And if you can be successful in engagement farming, you become a multimillionaire?
I mean, if you can turn those views and engagement, present it to advertisers, and they pay you, I guess.
Well, I don't know a lot of people presenting it to advertisers.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a bold. I wouldn't say it's a very smart strategy, but I guess Twitter can pay you too.
Give me an idea of how I can engagement farm today.
I think Kraft mac and cheese is better than homemade. Sound off in the comments. Fight me. You know,
You say fight me at the end of it.
yeah, declarative statements. There's much more juicy topics I could present to you right here, but I won't.
We will have John Denton, who certainly got some engagement yesterday with what he wrote about the Cardinals not spending any more this offseason. That had some people on tilt, and we'll see what John has to say about that. That is coming up on the other side of the break. John Denton of MLB.com. That's next. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues are playing tonight as they take on the Florida Panthers. You can catch that game right here on the home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6 p.m. Puck drops at 7, and the St. Louis Blues have signed Nathan Walker to a 2-year contract extension that was just tweeted out by the St. Louis Blues. And last night in the NBA, the Heat defeat the Rockets 120-113. Bam Adebayo has 22 points and 12 rebounds. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back. This is Balloon Party, and it is 101 ESPN. Our presenting sponsor on this program is Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you, and it is our pleasure to welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen, the author of a new newsletter, Jackson. You better start subscribing. Subscribing to Scoop Jackson, I guess?
Yeah, that's right.
John Denton of MLB.com with us. Morning, John.
Hey, Tim. How are you guys?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Trying to survive this weather and stay warm.
Yeah, the next week is going to be, I saw there's a high of 5 and a low of -6 on Monday, Jackson. So you might want to stay indoors for the upcoming holiday. Your tweet yesterday led to me subscribing to your newsletter, and then I posted a link to that on the TMA fan page on Facebook, and that certainly got people talking. And the bottom line from your piece, John, in the newsletter, which you can subscribe to on MLB.com, is that while many Cardinal fans, and I think a healthy percentage of Cardinal fans were hopeful, perhaps maybe against their logic, that the Cardinals were going to go out and sign or trade for another pitcher. In your conversation with Cardinal President Bill DeWitt III, he made it clear that that was not something that was particularly likely. And he explained that the financial uncertainty surrounding the television situation is one of the main reasons for the Cardinals most likely taking what they have right now down to Jupiter, Florida in about a month. That was not met with a lot of positivity. Where I posted it, what was the response when you posted it?
Yeah, it's very similar, Tim. And, the lead of my story said, hey, this is not going to go over well, but here we go. And, laid out Bill DeWitt III's comments. And, I knew it wasn't going to go over well. But, in their eyes, after they had all the arbitration numbers, all the raises that are coming to players, maybe they make a bullpen addition, a minor one, that payroll's going up. And they feel like, hey, they're making a big push here with, the uncertainty that's coming with the TV contract. I think the Bally's money that the Cardinals are going to receive is firm for this year. But long term, they're very worried about this. And, if you look at the deals that they've done, they signed Sonny Gray to a 3-year deal. Lance Lynn, 1+1. Kyle Gibson, 1+1.
Yeah.
They didn't commit to long-term deals because after 2024, they're really worried that, maybe this TV money may dry up. So, look what they've done. And that kind of lets you know that, they were never really in on Yamamoto's, that, they were never going 10 years on a guy. So I knew it wouldn't be greeted well, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so let's discuss this, because in a way, I'm sure for a lot of people it was incredibly disappointing. Some might be angry, actually, I think, maybe their reaction. But in a way, I'm glad it's now being discussed, because it has been my theory for, I guess, about 15 months that this is something that is a material issue for this organization, perhaps, by the way, more so than many other organizations. That television money, the $1 billion deal they did with what was Fox Sports Midwest and is now Bally's, and of course the bankruptcy and the issues that Bally's is having, hoping to get a deal done with Amazon. New York Post reporting yesterday that has been rejected by baseball because of the streaming request in that deal from Amazon. They don't want to do it through Diamond Sports. They want to do it directly with Amazon and take out the middleman. understandably so. It affects the Cardinal payroll, though. It also affects the way fans are able to watch the games. Have you gotten any indication whatsoever from sources, from conversations with members of the organization, what the long-term hope/strategy is for the television, not just for fans accessing games, John, but also for how they can replace this potentially significant amount of revenue that will be lost?
Yeah, they have a lot of very smart lawyers who are working on this. They're kind of leaning on Major League Baseball for guidance. Major League Baseball is negotiating deals, and, they kind of want to see where that comes out. But this is something that's up in the air, and it's very scary to teams. That was a word that Bill DeWitt even mentioned to me, scary, because in the past they could always count on this big, huge chunk of money that was going to help them cover salaries and that sort of thing. And, the certainty of that now is going away. And, they don't want to be on the hook for these long-term deals, or, they don't want to overextend themselves. I mean, we're all businessmen. We don't want to overextend ourselves. We don't want to, have money that we owe that we can't pay. If you think something's going away, you've got to be a little safer. I know that's not what Cardinal fans want to hear. I know this franchise puts $3 million butts in the seats every year, but they're just afraid of overextending themselves when they're a certain revenue stream that they've counted on for years could be going away.
So the reaction you said, of course, was not positive. The reaction when I posted your link, not positive. What kind of feedback in general have you gotten from fans on this offseason? I made reference to CBS Sports and The Athletic giving grades of a C so far to the Cardinal offseason. What kind of feedback are you getting from your readers and your listeners, John, on this Cardinal offseason to date?
I mean, Tim, they're upset because they just went through the worst season in 33 years. They expected major changes. The Cardinals have made major changes. They just haven't made that one big splash that fans are hoping for. Fans are hoping for Yamamoto or Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery. I mean, you got Sonny Gray, which was a great addition. After that, the Cardinals just it seemed like maybe filled holes. Kyle Gibson still has a lot left in his arm. Lance Lynn still has a lot left in his arm. The trade that the Cardinals just made may have been their best move of the offseason. Getting Andrew Kittredge, a former All-Star, a guy who is really good, for Richie Palacios, a guy who you got via just cash. You got him in a trade for cash. That was a heck of a move by Mo. I think that kind of went under the radar. The Cardinal fans wanted the moon. They wanted them to go out and make sure that 71 and 91 didn't happen again. They didn't do that, but they have made this team better. And, the Cardinals brass are feeling like they've really upgraded this team. Cardinal fan base are kind of like wait and see mode. So we'll see, one of those two, which one of those two are more right? Is this a team that can go from worst to first in the NL Central, or is it a team that is not better than the Reds right now and may struggle to make the playoffs?
The lines in Las Vegas have the Cardinals as second to the Cubs. Cubs minus Counsell haven't exactly had a huge offseason themselves, but at the same time, who in the National League Central has? If you're in the American League East or West or the National League East or West, it seems like you're playing a different kind of game in the offseason. So because of that, the Cardinals' chance for success, I think, is higher just by the mere fact that they're in the National League Central. How do you analyze what has taken place this offseason in the Central and where it leaves the Cardinals?
Yeah, Tim, in my opinion, I think they're totally capable of winning the NL Central. Imagine being a Cub fan right now. There is no franchise in sports that does less with more than the Chicago Cubs. I mean, Cody Bellinger's still sitting out there. Marcus Stroman's still sitting out there. The Cubs have done zero all offseason. I actually think the Reds might be better than the Cubs. The Reds are a team that are coming. They got good young players. But I think the Cardinals can win this division. Just because they haven't spent now doesn't mean they won't spend at the deadline. I know fans don't want to always hear that. But I think the Cardinals will add at the deadline this year. I think they can win the division. But I don't think they're in the same class as the Phillies and the Dodgers and the Braves and maybe even the Diamondbacks. That's an upper tier. If you want to compete with those guys, you need to go trade for Dylan Cease. You need to go sign Jordan Montgomery if you want to try to get into that elite category. But right now, what they've done this offseason, they're going to be better. The pitching's going to be dramatically better. I think they'll win the NL Central, but you're just not in that upper tier right now.
What do you think of the signing of Keim Bloom yesterday? That is something that caught the eyes of observers around baseball, and I wonder if he could be a long-term fixture and perhaps the heir to John Mozeliak's throne. What are your assessments of Bloom joining the organization?
Yeah, I asked Mo yesterday because in last February when we're in Jupiter and Mozeliak signed a 2-year extension, he mentioned that at some point the Cardinals are probably going to have to start a succession program where somebody has to, start learning under the job and ready to take over. And I asked him if this was this situation. He said, no, not yet. This is just a part-time role. But this is something that they've been talking about doing since November. They like the fact that Bloom spent 15 years in a small market in Tampa. They like that he then worked for a big market with the Red Sox. The Cardinals, as we all know, they're a small market team with a big market payroll. So he's going to help out in various ways. If you look, 3 of the guys that they've added this offseason, Nick Robertson was a Red Sox. Kittredge was a guy that Bloom drafted in Tampa Bay. And then Fernandez kid that they plucked in the Rule 5 draft came from the Red Sox. So you can see the Keim Bloom influence already helping. And, Mo said, hey, I would be an idiot if I didn't talk to him and find out what he knew about these players. So you can see his influence already kind of taking shape on this club.
John Denton, he'll have a newsletter now, and I subscribed to it yesterday. How can our listeners subscribe to it if they are interested in getting it, John?
You can just Google for it, or you can find it on my Twitter, and then there's a link at the bottom. You click on it, you'll get it every week. I got to get on to you a little bit, Tim. We've had this newsletter for 2 years now.
Oh, my goodness. Yesterday's the one that got me going. I saw that, and I go, oh, my goodness, here we go. Now Cardinal fans are going to be really irritated. Because I do think there were a large number of people who were thinking, okay, maybe there's still something going on. Maybe they'll be in the mix. I think Montgomery more so than Snell. And then when that came out yesterday, that was the snuffing of the hope for this offseason.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news there, Tim.
Yeah, that was the one that ended it for a number of people. So the Cardinals will not be in on Snell or Montgomery, and what they have is most likely what they will have when they arrive in Jupiter here in about a month. John, thank you so much for joining us as always, and we'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thanks for having me. Take care, Tim.
Take it easy. That's John Denton of MLB.com with us here on Balloon Party. Jackson, you have the Little Piddles half?
Half and half. That's right. I got it, and I got it good.
What do you got that's going to be so good?
Curious where you are. Super Wild Card Weekend, one game in particular, and how people will watch it.
Oh, well, I already know where you're going.
Yeah, I teased.
And there's some people who are mad as hornets about this. All right.
Yeah.
I got it. I like where you're going with this. Yeah. That's coming up next. This is Balloon Party, driven by Mungan Ass, St. Louis Acura, and Mungan Ass, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. Mungan Ass, St. Louis Acura, Mungan Ass, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, the place to go if you are looking for a new car. They have so many new cars available on their lots, and all you have to do is go to stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com and go shopping right now. Go from your phone, your computer, wherever it is that you're going from, and see what they have to offer you. Plus, a great selection of pre-owned vehicles as well. It's all there at stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com. And even if you did not get your car from Mungan Ass, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, or Mungan Ass, St. Louis Acura, get your car serviced there. Just go to stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com and work with the best. And the best is Jamie Burkhardt, Clayton Patterson, Peter Munganast, and then Ryan Seiberg in the service department, and the entire staff at Munganast, St. Louis Acura, Munganast, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Go online at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. Welcome back. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, presenting sponsor of the program. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. BK and Ferrario coming up next. Jackson, we were joined by John Denton in the previous segment. If you missed anything, you can podcast Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's podcast. Our studio cameras on the YouTube chat, which is very active. Presented to you by the Air Alliance team, and our text line sponsored by Air Comfort Service, 314-399-9646. What do you have on this half and half today?
Sure, Tim. I teased it in the last segment. We're going to get to it now. The NFL playoffs is starting off with Super Wild Card Weekend, which kind of sounds like a title for one of my question sets. But either way, it's not without controversy. The Dolphins and Chiefs game at Arrowhead on Saturday night will be exclusively found on Peacock. Peacock, a subsidiary of NBC Universal Media, paid a whopping $110 million just to stream this game. How do you think this will go over with NFL fans? Do you consider this just another log in the fire with the sports streaming confusion? Or is this a major moment where a playoff game, especially an NFL playoff game, will only be offered on a streaming platform?
See, question number one was what?
How will this go over with NFL fans?
Poorly. Question number two was what?
Do you think this is just another log in the fire in terms of streaming sports and the confusion around that, or is this a major milestone where an NFL playoff game will exclusively be found on the streaming platform?
I hate when people ask either ors and then the answer giver gives both. So I'm not going to do that. I think that this is the direction that it's all going, and it's kind of obvious. I mean, 5 years ago, if somebody would have said games would be on Amazon, I think people would have been a little surprised. As weird as that sounds, because that wasn't that long ago, and now it's just commonplace. This is the way that it's going. I also, let me ask you this on this. I got a two-pronged, I don't know if it's conspiracy theory, just so much as logic.
Okay.
I'm surprised that Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are going to be handling the Monday night game, I would assume. Am I correct on that? Or
I believe that is the case.
Okay. Yes. I mean, do you know the Monday night game? Okay, it's Eagles and Buccaneers.
That's right.
I mean, that's kind of a...
It doesn't move the needle as much as Chiefs and Dolphins would be the one that would probably move the needle.
That's exactly right. So the fact that you have the Chiefs and the Dolphins, and the fact that it's going on Peacock on Saturday night at 7 o'clock tells me that they were gifted the best game.
Yeah.
And do with this what you want, and I don't care. People can roll their eyes all they want. More casual fans are watching the Chiefs and Dolphins. Plenty of people who would never watch a game because of Taylor Swift.
Yep. Dolphins are also on HBO Hard Knocks right now.
It is the game you would want.
Yeah.
And Joe Buck and Troy Aikman have the Eagles and Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Baker.
Yeah. So one could say gifted. Another could say, I don't know the particulars. I would be surprised if you itemized ESPN, Fox, CBS's deal with the NFL, if any of one game would be worth $110 million. I think Peacock put up that massive price tag, as we talked about in the last segment.
So then they get the number one draft pick in the games? Because obviously you didn't know you were going to get this game.
Right. They knew that they would have a game.
Until the Bills and Dolphins were done.
I would bet that they got the number one draft pick. Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go.
Based on that price tag, yeah. I would think that they would get...
So there it is. And so you will have... God, I don't know, hundreds of thousands? Can we even go millions of people subscribing to Peacock
the average,
on Saturday?
The playoff games like this average about 28 million viewers.
So you will have millions of people then.
Yeah.
Forget about it. Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah,
you will
Peacock gets what they want.
Subscribing to Peacock. Now, I already subscribe to it, but I subscribe. My television is so...
Yeah. You would not consider yourself a
No, I am
standard.
not fiscally responsible. Right. I do the opposite of me with my YouTube TV and my Spectrum and paying for all the apps. It's just dumb, but part of it is I got to make sure I'm watching as many games as I can for all the shows that we do. But I'm telling you, this is without question. It's an ABC move.
Yeah.
We are going to get the number one game. We will pay you $110 million, and we will ramp up subscribers for it.
Yep.
And so they will be making a large number of dollars, probably offsetting, as amazing as it is, the expense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it's a profitable venture to spend $110 million, especially the fact that they're getting the Dolphins and Chiefs. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for. It's the best. I mean, I guess I guess you could make a case. I guess I wouldn't make it myself for Cowboys Packers.
Yeah, you could make a case that they're better football games, but where the casual fan would be most interested is Dolphins Chiefs, without a question.
Yeah,
totally.
You're all high on this Broncos Texans or Browns Texans thing.
Oh, I think that's the game I'm most looking forward to.
I'm invested emotionally in a Browns Lions Super Bowl.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. I would love. I want to see the Browns play the Ravens in the divisional round. I think that will be an all-time old school kind of classic game there. But I think the Texans are playing damn good football right now, and I'm curious to see how they go up against Myles Garrett in the Cleveland front.
What is the number on that game?
You can't Brando me this late in the show like that. I can find that information out for you.
Oh, it is available. It is available.
Yeah, it is, and I'm going.
And then the Chiefs and Dolphins are going to be playing like in 0 degrees.
Yeah, it's going to be freezing.
Hawk may be up as well. Over at Arrowhead.
The number on that Browns-Texans game, the Browns are favored by 2.5 on the road in Houston. And then the Dolphins are getting 4 at Arrowhead. Bills are -10 against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Buffalo. Got to be another cold game there, too.
Yeah, I kind of understand that. If I were throwing a dart on a team, I would throw it on the Bills.
Just because their ceiling, we see that their ceiling can be higher,
and they're red hot.
Yeah,
I think maybe we're underappreciating, and I think they oftentimes get underappreciated. The Baltimore Ravens and how good they are.
They have played so damn well down the stretch, and you can compare that with the Eagles, who were the darling of the beginning of the season. How bad they've played down the stretch. I think we got a rematch 11 years later. Yeah, I mean,
of Harbaugh versus Harbaugh, except it won't be Harbaugh versus Harbaugh this time around.
I hope that's the case. I hope it's.
You want to see that?
I hope it's Lions and Ravens.
Lions Ravens. That's
what I would find like the most enjoyment out of. I think that would be a really fun game.
Are you interested in a wager? I will take Joe Flacco. You can have C.J. Stroud.
Straight up.
Sure. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard on this show, which is saying something. You just passed up on 2.5 points.
So I can get 2.5?
Well, I mean, you wanted it straight up.
Well, I was asking straight up, or do I get 2.5?
I mean, I always talk in terms of spreads.
Okay. I'll take 2.5.
All right. I'll take pity on your soul for that Mark move, but let it be a lesson to you. Never walk away from the 2.5 points.
Never will.
Thank you. All right, what do we got? $20?
Yeah, $20.
Okay, fair enough. So I'm taking the Browns -2.5.
Yeah,
and I assume this is like the Saturday 8 a.m. game. Anytime the Texans play a playoff game, it leads off playoff weekend, and they just like bury it. And it's usually they're playing Andy Dalton somehow. He's involved.
Yeah, Saturday at 3:30.
There you go. And I assume it's the first game.
Yes, that's the first game.
Now, Peacock declined to choose the Texans.
Yeah, even though I think that's going to be a really fun game.
I know.
But yeah, the juicy game is obviously Dolphins Chiefs. That's the one you want.
Yeah, when I saw the Monday night game was the Eagles and Buccaneers, I go, oh, what happened here?
Yeah.
And then I find out what happened with Peacock, and I go, oh, that's what happened here. Because I take a step back and I go, oh, it's all day. I know where we're going with this, and that's Dolphins Chiefs on Monday night.
Right. I think if this was last year or if Peacock wasn't in the equation, I would bet that they would play the Monday night game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here you go.
$110 million gets you a lot more juice.
Number one pick.
Yeah.
All right. BK and Ferrario are coming up next. Jackson and I will be live on youtube.com/TMASTL with QFTA. It is a non-sports, but sometimes sports podcast, The Tim McKernan Show. That is coming your way. 101 ESPN, BK and Ferrario. Next for Jackson Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel.